Energy bills are to rise for the second time this winter. We're going to read into this piece from the BBC, you guys. Let's go. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are in the world. This is Reganelite here with an article from the BBC with the headline that the energy bills are set to rise for a second time this winter. Energy bills for a typical household will rise again in January, with prices expected to remain relatively high throughout the next year. Guys, while you're here, make sure you hit the like button and share it across social media so others are notified of this video. Now, the government may have some, and the energy companies may have some schemes and whatnot to help people with their energy bills, but it's those who are really at the low end, those who are on the low end, who are really going to struggle with this. Who are really going to struggle to keep to choose between heating and eating. And we've talked about this before. We've talked about this cost of living crisis and the means of how much we need to knock these energy bills down. More than ever before, do we need to get homes insulated? More than ever before, do we need to less reliant on gas and oil, and more reliance do we need to on solar, wind for electricity? Insulating homes would really keep homes nice, a lot warmer, and would keep the bills a lot down if they were doing so, but we're not having enough of them built with insulation. That is something that needs to be done, and we need to replace a lot of homes with insulation as well, and encourage homeowners to have them as well, so that it keeps their bills down. It's just really, really bad. I do feel like that the government does try and help, but at the same time they're not helping, because you're leaving in the hands of a lot of these, and these energy companies are privatized. And at the end of the day, their number one priority is to make profit. Again, like for me, it's like water. These should not be in the hands of private companies. They should be in the hands of the state. For me, the state should be controlling our energy bills. We should be able to keep them down. And we shouldn't, it should not have to cost an arm and a leg to turn on your heating. The whole point, and I've said this so many times, guys, the point of a government is to look after its citizens. And is the government doing enough to look after its citizens? I will say this Labour government so far are doing a better job than what the Conservatives have done in terms of looking after its civilians. But we'll see over the next few years if that will be the case. But as of right here, right now, we know the winter fuel payments that many, many people are going to lose their lives as a direct result of the decisions made by the Chancellor in her budget. But with energy bills to rise for a second time, some people are just going to freeze. And it's going to make their homes a lot worse. It's not good, guys. So it is the second rise this winter, and it means someone paying by direct debit and using a typical amount of gas and electricity will pay £1,738 or £21 a year more, with bills now over 50% higher than pre-COVID levels. Energy bills have been high for 3 years, which charities warn have left many struggling to cope and choosing to go without heating at the coldest times of the year. The quarterly cap by regulator Ofgem sets a limit on the cost of each unit of energy and affects 26 million households in England, Wales and Scotland. After 2 relatively mild winters since energy prices soared, billpayers are braced for a colder period that could stretch their finances. And over the longer term, analysts and the consultancy Cornwall Insight said higher domestic energy prices were likely to be the new normal. Dame Claire Montgomery, Chief Executive of Citizens Advice, says the forecast meant particularly families and people with disabilities will face impossible choices. Impossible choices. It feels like, again, like people are just going to be killed off. And it's down to charities to try and help those the most vulnerable. For bills to remain at a high level, and with an expectation that they'll remain at that level for the foreseeable future, we're just expecting to see people continuously be really squeezed, particularly families with children, particularly disabled people. So this is from Ofgem. This is how energy price caps have changed, and this is obviously typical This is what they call a typical household energy bill over the last couple of years. As you can see here, back in October 2021, it was roughly just 1,500, and you can see the numbers there. Like these prices below 2,000 is insane. In 2023, it was above $2,000. It's outrageous. It's outrageous that it costs this much. It really, really is, guys. I just cannot understand for the life of me how it can cost, why it can cost so much. It should not be this high. Way, way, way too high. The cap means a household will typically rise by £1.75 a month. It is also a 10% down on the same period last year, but Ofgem said many bill payers would still be stretched. We understand that the cost of energy remains a challenge for too many households, says Tim Jarvis from the regulator. However, with more tariffs coming into the market, there are ways for customers to bring their bills down, so please shop around and look at all the options. While the cost of each unit of gas and electricity is capped, the total bill is not, so a longer cold winter could see higher energy use and higher bills. Yeah, because the longer we have colds, the longer people have the heating on. Energy companies said they have put extra support in place to help customers cope with the situation, such as emergency credit, hardship funds, or striking off some debt or standard charges. However, a period of high prices, which analysts say is likely to continue, means households will have collectively built up debts of $3.7 billion to suppliers. The average household in rent arrears owes more than $1,500 for electricity and $1,300 for gases. Yeah, if I was doing the jobs before, if I was doing the job that I was doing before, and I was renting, me and my partner would be buggered. Even with both, we have even the incomes we would have both been on. We would not only would we not be able to save, we would lose money. The charity National Energy Action said many people were already rationing their energy use or building up a debt trying to keep warm. Angela from Liverpool is one of those who has fallen behind on bills. As a carer for her mum, she told the BBC she was having to make tough choices. I'm over 1,000 in rent arrears with my energy supplier, so I don't put the gas and electricity on, she said. We just sit there with our onesies on the floor at night. I think it's terrible and it's a disgrace. And it is. Like, what kind of life is this? Like, they're living in a freezing cold house. And the only way they can keep warm is by wrapping themselves in onesies and blankets. That's their only choice. They can't put on the heating because they can't afford it. What kind of life is that for people in those situations? Close to where she was speaking at Kitty's Laundrette, a cooperative which provides cheap washing and drying for the community as well as free service for those who need it. Anthony Scott is part of a team running it, seeing dozens of customers every day, many of whom are struggling financially. I come across a lot of anger. I feel a lot of anger. People are being priced out of using energy in their own homes, he said. The cap affects those on defaults, variable tariffs, and those who have a fixed price for a set period. It is set for 3 months by Ofgem, although regulators illustrate the change by showing the impact of the annual bill for a household with typical energy uses. To estimate the effects on the individual annual cost, taxpayers could add 1.2% to their current bill. Some households will have less support than last winter because the final cost of living payments was made to 8 million people on means testing benefits in February. For pensioners, the previously universal winter fuel payment worth up to £300 is now only being paid to those on low incomes who receive certain benefits. According to the government's own estimates, an additional 50,000 pensioners will be living in relative poverty next year as a result of the cuts to the payment. However, this fails to take into account any increased uptake of pension credits, which qualifies people for the winter fuel payment. The Energy Secretary Ed Miliband said the UK was exposed to the roller coaster of global fossil fuel markets, which is why the government was concentrating on generating power in the UK. He admitted the latest price rise would concern many families. Yeah, no shit. Some pensioners' households affected in Northern Ireland will see a run-off £100 payment. The energy market is regulated differently in Northern Ireland and is not governed by the same price cap. So those the standard charges are almost unchanged. Here's the latest change in price caps there. I'm not going to read all that, but if you want to pause it and have a look, you can do. And just down here as well. The link for the article will be in the description, guys, as well. If you want to look at money helping website that can help you, how to make a claim, government's online calculator, policy and practice, and Talio. So any of these websites. Again, the link for the article will be in the description if you want to go to any of these. If you are somebody who is struggling to pay their energy bills, they may be able to assist you on them. And I hope that you are not struggling out there in all seriousness, regardless of your political views, because people should not have to struggle to get by, especially if you are working a full-time job. Whether you are single with a partner, people should not have to struggle to get by, to survive. And that people have to choose between heating and eating, living in a cold, freezing home, because they cannot afford the electricity, because the energy bills are too high. We know they're too high, but the cost of food is ridiculous as well. This cost of living crisis has not gone away. It is still happening. It's still happening out there, people. People are still struggling. You know, just because of a change in government doesn't mean the cost of living crisis is over. People are still feeling it. People need to feel that they are better off. And people will die during this winter. They will die. And some of it will be as a direct result of the winter fuel cuts to pensioners that the government has made as well. But there is only so much that charities can do as well. More needs to be done. People need to have money in their pocket. These are people who are trying to live their lives, and they are going to suffer as a result of these energy bills going up. So all I can say to those who are struggling with their energy bills, do seek the help as you possibly can. Do check out the websites down that we looked at for any help that you possibly can. But what do you guys make about the energy bills set to rise for a second time this winter? Is the government doing enough? Can they do more? What should they do more? Let me know your thoughts and more down in the comment section below. If you found this video informative, please hit the like button. We greatly appreciate it. Help share this across social media so others are notified of this video. If you haven't subscribed already, please consider subscribing, because it really does help support the channel. Thank you all so much for watching, and I hope to catch you all very, very soon.